Very good evening.
Before
All right,
before
very
you
good
begin,
evening.
Devesh, before you begin, I'll just speak to the children here.
Yes,
Children, this is a very, very important session because uh, you all who all are applying to the United States of America are here today to understand how your education can be funded, how your education, the finances of your 4-year program can be taken care of. This is a very important document required by the universities. And if it is filled rightly, correctly, as sir is going to give you all the, inputs, all the, ways and the right way to put it, I think this is going to benefit you immensely. It can benefit you to the extent that you may save a lot of tuition fee, a lot of, your 4-year program fee in the United States, right? So listen to every word that he speaks very, very carefully. Make notes if you want to. Sir is recording the meeting. We request for the recording also, just in case you miss out anything. But I would request if your parents are around, please ask your parents to also sit and attend so that while filling up the form, they will be required to be around to, to help you or assist you in filling up the form. And also, they may uh, require the help of somebody, as a bank professional or a chartered accountant or anybody who takes care of your dad's, finances. So I think it'll be wise enough, it'll be nice if your parents are around to attend the session and understand the whole dynamics of this form. Okay, so
yes.
good that you've attended, you asked for it, and good. I'm very happy that most of you are here to listen. I had also asked some 11th graders to be around because it'll be nice if you are prepared well in advance to understand what the CSS profile is all about, how expensive a US education can cost you, and how we can manage the finances to make the education,
मुझको एक ईयरबड ला के दे दो प्लीज
pocket
है
friendly and not very financial, not causing a lot of financial burden on your parents, right? So we really want to thank Devesh sir for taking out time to do this. So I would urge and request each one of you to take down the notes, take down the points, and be very attentive. And after the session, Devesh, I think if children have the questions, we can have a Q&A round from them as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, ma'am, first of all, for the opportunity. I love talking about financial aid and scholarships with the students. And over the last 10, 12 years, we have been supporting students from around India and many of your students from CMS gain access to scholarships. So, without any further ado, let me just get going with the presentation. Towards the end, I'm going to talk with all of you about the program that I run, the scholarship program that I run, and then we'll have some time for Q&A as well. Yeah. So here we go. I'm sharing my screen now. And once again, requesting you all to switch on your cameras. It's better if I see your faces so that I know you are grasping things. This is a session on CSS profile and financial aid. Um, Before we talk about what CSS profile is and what financial aid is, it's important to understand what are the costs involved. What are the different kinds of expenses and costs that are involved when you study abroad? And specifically, we are right now talking only about the US. Yeah. So there are some direct costs, some indirect costs, and both of them combined make the total cost of attendance. Direct costs are the costs which you directly pay to the university, which includes the tuition, fees, etc., room and board. So all of that comes under the direct cost. Indirect costs are costs like books and supplies, uh, transportation expenses, any personal expenses, insurance, medical expenses. Those all come under indirect costs. Those are variable depending upon what kind of lifestyle you live when you are abroad, when you are living in the US. Yeah. All of that combined can be called as a cost of attendance. Yeah. To study in the US, that cost can range all the way from $50,000 to $100,000. So, depending upon where you go, what kind of institution you study in, what kind of scholarship you've got, uh, without a full scholarship, that cost, maybe if you've got a partial scholarship, the total cost for studying would be somewhere around $50,000. With a scholarship, your cost can come down to about $25,000, $30,000. And then if you go to a private or an Ivy League institution, that cost can go all the way to $100,000 without a scholarship. Yeah, that's what cost of attendance is. Uh, some terms that you should know when you are uh, when you are planning to study abroad. Number one is cost of attendance. We just talked about it. Second is EFC, expected family contribution or estimated family contribution. EFC is when you subtract your scholarship. Uh, so EFC is how much your family is going to pay when you study abroad, or the amount of your, the amount that you and your parents pay uh, towards college education. Uh, CSS profile. CSS profile is what we're going to go into depth of today, and by the end of the session, you would know what CSS profile is, how to fill it, etc. ISCOF or Certificate of Finance. The Certificate of Finances is again a form which colleges ask you to fill, where they'll ask you all about your finances, your assets, your liabilities, your parents' assets, their income, etc. And then they'll try to assess what is the family contribution, how much can a family pay or afford or invest in a child's education. There are two kinds of colleges that you should be aware of. There is need blind colleges and need aware colleges. And this need blind and need aware actually determines admissions, which means very important to understand that need blind colleges are those colleges who would admit you without first looking at your finances. But need aware colleges will first look at your finances, and then if you can afford the fees, if you can afford the minimum contribution that they expect, then they will look further at your profile. There are a few need blind colleges and need aware colleges. Need blind colleges are more likely to give you a need based financial aid. And then the third kind of colleges that you should know about is colleges or universities which meet full demonstrated need. When a college or university says that they meet full demonstrated need, that means that whatever amount that you need to pay, whatever, if this is the total fees, and if you can pay, let's say, only $10,000, a university which is need, which meets full demonstrated need will say, okay, your profile is very strong. Even if you can pay $10,000, it's great. We love you and we would love to have you on campus. Here is the whole need-based financial aid package. Please come to our campus. Yeah, that is the university which meets full demonstrated need. Um, EFC, expected family contribution, is calculated after looking at your income, your assets. So parents' income and assets, students' income and assets, which usually in India, students don't have a lot of income and assets. But if you do have some income and assets, colleges use that information to calculate your EFC. They look at how many dependents are there in your family, how many college going children are there in your family, and then they look at all of these factors to determine what is the EFC. Demonstrated need. Understanding demonstrated need is important. Demonstrated need is the need, your family's need. It's the cost of attendance, which is somewhere around $100,000, minus EFC, minus the amount that your family says they can afford. So COA minus EFC gives you demonstrated need. Uh, the it's the difference between cost of attendance and the expected family contribution. this demonstrated need is something which is used to determine how much aid, how much financial aid you are eligible for. There are only some colleges which would meet full demonstrated need for international students. Now, let me talk a little bit about how can you reduce funding for, how can you reduce your family contribution? How can you get, what are the different ways of getting a scholarship? What are the different kinds of scholarships or grants available? Typically, there are four different ways in which you can reduce the financial burden on your families. That's scholarships, grants, work study, and loans. And I'm going to touch upon all of them one by one. And then there are some other ways which include on-campus jobs, summer jobs, cheaper housing off campus, and some third-party scholarship programs like the Next Genius Scholarship Program. Let's first talk about scholarships. Scholarships, when it typically a scholarship, when we refer to a scholarship, when we talk about a scholarship, it is usually a merit-based scholarship. A merit-based scholarship is offered on merit, which means it's offered on your academics, on your profile, how good fit you are in a particular institution. Uh, it depends upon how much a college would love to have you on their campus so that you become a part of their community. Yeah, it's offered on merit and fit. Usually, more selective a college is, more competitive their merit-based scholarship will be. And these scholarships are offered by the institution. So it's an institutional scholarship. It's not offered by the US government or any other uh, no, no, organization or institution. It's all offered by that specific institution that you are applying to. Uh, some governments also offer merit-based scholarships, but that is very, very rare. Yeah, you can apply to your state government. They have very few students who are applying for these kind of scholarships, and you can consider, you can look at different resources which are available, which you can research to gain access to merit-based scholarships. But typically, merit-based scholarships are offered by the specific institutions that you're applying to. The second kind is grants. Grants are need-based financial aid. These are institutional grants, which does not depend on merit. These depend on need or financial need of the family. Uh, the more needy a family is, the higher the chances of winning a need-based financial aid. But very few colleges offer need-based financial aid. Not all colleges would consider you or would offer need-based financial aid to you. Some state, so if some of you are US citizens, you can also get that aid from the state that you have a citizenship of. So within the US, if you are from a specific state, you can get access to state grants. And then there is federal grants which come from the US government, from the federal government, which are applicable only for American citizens. The third way is work study. Work study, as the name suggests, it means studying, working while you study. So typically, American institutions allow just about 20 hours per week um, work for students. Um, 10 it's 10 hours when the session is going on and 20 hours during the summers. Work study is, there's many opportunities to work on a US college campus, and there are many kind of different jobs available. Usually many colleges will include a work study within your offer letter. When you get an offer letter from an American institution, they would say this is your merit-based scholarship, this is your need-based financial aid, this is your work study, and then they'll put a star on it, which means that you'll need to work these many hours per week to be eligible to get that work study. Generally, if you're thinking that, okay, I'll go to the US and I'll work there and I'll work on campus and then I'll bring down the cost of attendance, you should know that you can maximum earn just about $3,000 to $5,000. You don't think that you can earn $10,000 per year. Maximum you can earn $3,000, $3.5 thousand per year as a work study. Yeah. So it is good. It's good money, but it is not, it does, don't depend on it completely. Yeah. And the fourth one is loans. You can get a loan from India. You can get a loan from the US. Usually, if you're trying to get a loan from the US, you need a guarantor, which means if you have family or friends in the US, you can get a loan from there. Otherwise, you'll need to take an education loan from India. My personal suggestion is don't take a big loan, take maximum 10 lakhs across 4 years. Yeah, because loan, the interest rate, there is interest to be paid. And once you graduate, you don't want to graduate with a massive loan. Yeah. So I don't encourage you to take big loans for an undergraduate degree. Okay. Different types of forms. I'm going a little fast because there's a lot to be covered, but the recording will be available. You can watch this recording later as well. There are various different kinds of forms which are available for which different universities ask. The first one is CSS Profile. CSS Profile is administered by College Board. College Board is the same organization which offers SAT, APs, etc. Yeah. If you have taken SAT, you already have a College Board account, and that means you can simply straight away go ahead and you can create your own CSS profile. I encourage you to create your CSS profile because many colleges and universities around the world, not around the world, but in the US, ask for CSS profile. CSS profile is used to identify your EFC, your expected family contribution. It asks a lot of information about your assets, students' income, parents' asset, parent income, and your liabilities and expenses. Using all of that information, it puts that data into a data engine, and then it comes out with an amount which says, that CSS profile says, we think this family can afford this much. Yeah, after putting all that data into their system. Then there is institutional forms. There are some universities and colleges who have their own forms that you need to fill. And then there are some other documents that you need to submit, your tax documents, your income statements, etc., when you are applying to colleges abroad. CSS profile, again, it's an online form which you need to fill. Just search for CSS profile College Board. You'll see that there is a page like this which you can open and you can start working on your CSS profile for fall 2026-27. Yeah, all 12th graders will fill the CSS profile for fall 2026-27 because you will go to the college in 2026-27. Yeah, who uses it? It is used by colleges which offer need-based financial aid. Yeah. It's not used by all the colleges. So there is a whole list of colleges which you can find on the College Board website where you'll figure out that, okay, these colleges use the CSS profile, these colleges do not use the CSS profile. I'm now going to take you through the CSS profile in a very step-by-step manner, and I'll try to sort of give you some tips on how to fill the CSS profile. This is how it starts. Sign into your fall 2026 CSS profile. Okay. When you open, you get this CB, which is College Board Financial Aid ID. This is an ID which you need to keep handy. There are some very unique cases, like when there are parents who are separated, and then sometimes they need to fill this twice. If you're This is very unique case, and we can talk about it towards the end of the session. But this is a CB Financial Aid ID is a unique ID which you will have while you fill your CSS profile. You can add your institutions here. Like for me, I've just added this one, Northwestern University, because while filling the CSS profile, there is a standard CSS profile, and then there are university specific questions. Just like in Common App, there is a Common App, and then there is a college specific section which you need to fill, and then you submit your Common App. Same way, CSS profile, there is a common profile, and then there is additional college specific questions that you need to fill. So let's get started. In the first couple of sections, it's basic. It just asks about your name, your passport number, date of birth, all of those things. I'm not going to get into all of that right now because it's just too straightforward and simple. Then it asks about your parents' information, whether they are married, whether they are living together, their names, their email IDs, etc. It asks about then it asks about your residence, where do you live, your address, zip code or pin code, whether the parents live with you, whether mom or dad live in the same house, etc. The next question is about currency, and this is a critical thing to know because when you fill the CSS profile, it asks you which currency are you going to use while filling the CSS profile. And you would say, well, I'll use INR. Hmm? Or let's say you say, I will use USD. Hmm? When you say you will use USD and then when you move forward and it does not allow you to change it, yeah, your whole CSS profile will then be filled in the same currency. All the values should be in the same currency. Let's say you start with USD and you say my father's income or my parents' income is 50,000 USD. Hmm? And that's about 45 lakh rupees. But by mistake, in the space provided, you say 45 lakh or 4.5 million. College board will feel or college board will think that you have entered 4.5 million USD and not 45 lakh rupees. Is this making sense? Yes? So you should be very careful because the currency that you select over here is the currency that you should be using throughout the CSS profile. I've seen students make mistake where they say in the beginning that they'll use USD, but they start entering all the values in INR and it completely throws off the whole calculation because your income becomes 90 times, which is not true, because the conversion rate is 1 USD is close to 90 rupees right now. So when you say my income is 45 lakh rupees, it actually appears to this to college board that it's 4.5 million US dollars. Current education information is where you will enter your information about your school, add and remove colleges. It's where you add the colleges that you want to go to. You will submit your CSS profile to some colleges. You can add that information over here. Then now the more complicated sections start coming in, and I'm going to go deeper into all of those sections. It asks you about your parents' details, parents' income, and I'll take you through one by one, and then they'll talk about, and then we'll go through all of this now. There's a lot of sections to be filled, and let's get going. CSS Profile is a common application for institutional financial aid. Hundreds of colleges and universities and scholarship programs use the CSS Profile to offer need-based financial aid. It is dynamic. CSS Profile is dynamic. What that means is what you filled in the previous section will determine what kind of questions you see next. It's not a test, but basically, if you said I have 5 properties, it will then create 5 new questions for you. It will ask you details about all the 5 properties, which year it was purchased in, what was the value when you purchased it, what is the value right now, all of those things. Yeah. Students, if your parents are around, once again, please call them because this is a session which is more relevant for them. In the CSS profile, they ask us information about, the basic information about the student, information about your family, your parents' income and assets, student income and assets, parent income and assets, student income and assets. I think if applicable should be here at the bottom row, student income and assets, if applicable. Anyway, let's get going. While filling the CSS profile, you should have all your financial paperwork with you, which includes your tax returns, your salary statements, your business documents, business statements, your yearly business income statement, profit and loss statements, bank statements. Keep them with you. This is important because if you mess up CSS profile, it will affect your chances of getting admitted. Yeah. So fill it nicely and carefully. So, okay, a currency question. So this is where I was telling you that be very careful while you are filling this currency section. Um, some basic questions. Which grade are you in 2025, 2026? I'm in 12th grade. Okay. Now, they will ask you questions about your fees. Yeah, amount you received in scholarships and grants in 2025-26 in your high school. See, another thing that I'll tell you here is that in these brown, yellow boxes, these cream color boxes, there is a lot of critical important information. If you ever face challenges or if you're not sure what to fill, click this and read this. It will provide you all the relevant information. Yeah. Before asking a question to someone else, first read it yourself and then try to figure out what this question is asking about. Because this is right now in front of us, it's a basic, straightforward question, but later on you'll see some complicated questions. And that is when you will need to review this information more carefully. Um, amount your mom and dad paid towards your education in 2025-26. It include all of this information. So my parents paid about 5 lakh rupees. See, I used INR as the currency earlier. So that's why this amount is 5 lakh INR. Okay, next. This is the page where you can add or remove colleges. You can search colleges by their code, CSS code number, or by the college name or state. Be careful. There are similar sounding names. Be careful which name you select. We'll talk about parents' details now, these four sections. First thing is about their taxes. Did they file a federal tax in 2024? Federal is like government tax, central government tax. So yes, they completed or they filed a federal tax last year in 2024. Yeah. Usually an American financial year is from January to December, but for us, it's March to April to March. Yeah. So for wherever it says 2024, look at the financial year which started in 2024, which means April 1, 2024, which ended in March 31st, 2024. Important question for your parents. They'll ask you which year's values to take. The year which started in 2024, the financial year which started in on April 1, 2024. Yeah. What kind of tax did your mom and dad file? So, US, Canadian, US territory or non-US? My parents filed a non-US tax because we are Indian, so we filed an Indian tax return. Yeah. Okay. How much, simple question, straightforward. How much did Devesh's dad earn from work in 2024? What all to include, what all not to include? Just pay attention to this. Yeah. Include your wages, salaries, commissions, tips, self-employed business income and bonuses. All of that is to be included, which is 20 lakh rupees, whatever amount it is, you can just enter that. Now they're asking you for a breakdown of everything. How much did you receive from your employer through wages and bonuses? How much was the interest income, dividend income, etc. How much did you earn from businesses and partnerships? How much was your net real estate income, royalties, etc. So in the beginning, they asked you about the total amount, and then now they're asking you about the breakdown of all of that, different kinds of incomes, other taxable income. And they're very smart. They're now asking, apart from all that you mentioned earlier, is there anything else that you earned? Was there any other income? They're trying to figure out all the different kinds of income that you're receiving, including pensions, annuities, retirement benefits, etc. Parents, all taxes. So here they're asking about what all taxes did you pay, all taxes or mandatory withholdings. What mandatory withholdings means from an Indian context is the TDS, tax deducted at source, TDS kind of things. Yeah. So those kind of things are needed to be included over here. And what all you need to explain that, what are the different taxes or withholdings above. Next, it asks you about any benefits that your parents received. Many of you receive a housing from your employer or some other food, FN food. Let's say, there's Sodexo coupons that you receive, some travel allowances you receive. Any other benefit that you receive can be added over here. Next question is whether your parents are expecting any significant change uh, next year. Are you expecting a new job or a job loss, anything like that? If you say yes, then they'll ask you what are your parents expecting? What is this major change your parents are expecting? Um, Now they'll ask more details about your father's employment, and then the same. I'm not repeating the same thing because they'll also ask this for your mother's employment. What is their employment status? So my dad is employed by others, plus he also runs his own business. So that's what I'll say over here. Then they'll ask you what is their employment. So my father is a software developer with TCS for 10 years, and the same information they'll ask for mom as well. Which kind of retirement plan does your father have? So again, many of your parents would have the NPS or the PPF or the EPF, or they would have invested in some other kind of retirement plans. All of that can be entered over here. Sometimes your parents might say, no, we do not have a retirement plan. We have invested a lot of money in mutual funds, and that is a retirement plan. That information should not be added over here because mutual funds they'll ask you separately as investments into stocks and etc. That is not considered a retirement plan by the US standards. Current value of the retirement plan. So when you open your PPF, EPF, NPS pages, you can see the current value of your retirement plans. Add all of that up, and that is the value you need to put over here. Housing information. Uh, which of these best describes your family situation? Do you own a house? Do you rent a house? Do you live with others? Do you live in a housing provided by your employer? Interesting thing here to know is if you live with your grandparents and if your grandparents own the house and not your parents, then you should say live with others because that house, while it might come in your parents' name down the line, but right now they do not own this house. So say that you live with others. Important thing to note over here. Then they ask you all that information about when the house was purchased, what was the value when it was purchased, what is the current value, and do you have a loan on that house? If you have a loan, how much is the loan? What is the EMI amount? Okay. Then they ask you about your household. How many siblings do you have? Who are the other dependents? You might have a grandmother, grandfather, or someone who needs more medical attention, your siblings. All of that should be added over here. Then they'll ask you in more detail about your siblings, which grade they are in right now, which grade they'll be next year. They'll ask about their schools as well. Which school did they attend? And which school are they going to, what is the fees for that school, etc. Same questions which were asked for you. Those kind of questions are now being asked for your brother or your sister as well. I will pause here for a moment and wait to see if there are any questions. We are almost halfway through the presentation, actually more than half. If there are any questions, just feel free to unmute yourself, ask a question. Otherwise, we'll just get going. No questions?
Children, you may ask if there is any question, or if you want to ask later, please note it down, right?
Perfect. So let's continue with the presentation part, and then we'll go with the Q&A in the end. Okay. Child support received. Sometimes your grandparents, your uncles or aunts, they pay or they give money to your parents to towards your, let's say, your school fees or any, let's say, your tuition, etc. That is the child support received by your parents. Uh, did your all parents also pay child support to someone? Sometimes you sponsor your house helps child. That is where you are supporting or you're paying for someone else's child support. So those kind of information you can add over here. Expenses. Interesting section because this is where they'll ask you everything about what different kinds of expenses do you have. First question is, this is a question about whether your parents are still paying their education loan. If they take up a loan for their college, uh, are they still paying an education loan? Uh, and the same question, are they paying loan for you or for any of your siblings? Yeah. Uh, ho- So there's questions about loans for parents, education loan for parents, education loan for you, education loan for your siblings. All of that information is to be added in this section. Then they're asking up to break down all the expenses of your family, which includes utility, like all the water, electricity, internet, etc. How much do you pay for food, clothing, other household necessities? And we are talking about yearly expenses, students, not monthly expenses. Yeah, enter that value correctly. Again, admission officers are smart. Don't play them. Don't sort of try to play with them. Don't think this is a game. This is serious. Enter values correctly. Do not try to game the system because that will affect your admission. Enter genuine, correct, right values always. Expenses towards transportation, other expenses not listed above. So, these are the other expenses, and then describe those expenses. Now, they'll ask you in more details about your parents' assets. First, we asked about income, we asked about expenses. Now they are asking about assets and then liabilities. Same four things will also be asked about the student: income, assets, expenses, and liabilities. Yeah. In assets, first thing is cash or cash like deposits. So all your FDs will come into it. Investments. So all the investments, which includes your mutual funds, bonds, debentures, all of those will come into this. And then real estate. If you have multiple properties, they will ask you about all of your properties. Hmm? What all is to be included in investments? All of this is included in investments, which includes your stocks, bonds, mutual funds, trusts, trust funds, commodities, precious metals, all your gold and silver, farms and real estates. Number of businesses your parents own. So here's a question about how many businesses your parents own. They'll ask you information about what is the net profit, how much is your stake in that business versus if it's a partnership business, how much profit is it, or how much liabilities are there in that business. All of those informations will be asked over here. How many real estate properties do you own or do your parents own? Current market value, and if there is a loan on that property, all of that is to be added over here. If you have multiple properties, if you have a second property, is it given on rent? If you're earning rent on that, how much rent are you receiving? Which year was that second property purchased and what was the price of that property? They go in so much depth uh, for each and every asset or business or liability that you have. Now, same questions are being asked about the student income, and student assets. I'm not going to go into that because it's just a repeat of whatever we just discussed. And then there is one important section where you can add any special circumstances. This is where you can add everything which was not asked. Yeah. Because you will ask me, sir, where should I add about my grandmother who is unfortunately suffering from uh, major disease, which is taking up a lot of family income. There's a lot of cash outflow for her treatment, for example. This is a place to mention about that ailing grandparent, God forbid, or for that very special circumstance. Let's say your father faced a loss in the business, unfortunately, or any positives as well. If you are expecting that, in this first year, if the income is lower, but I expect next year the income will be two times, three times, five times. because of this specific reason, you can mention that over here, and the admission officers will review this, and they will know that, while right now you need more scholarship, but next year onwards you won't need this much, and that it's okay to accept you because we can offer you a 1 year financial aid package and you won't need this financial aid year after year. Yeah. Important, very, very important question over here. Okay, and finally, we are now coming towards the end of the session, end of the CSS profile. Within the final question, it also asks. So I was just talking about this change in employment, elder care, financial support for family member, some income which you reported this year, which is not expected to renew next year, or some expense which happened this year, which you do not expect to happen next year. You will get exactly 2,000 characters, not more, to share that circumstance here, which means you will need to write probably in 5 to 7 sentences what that extenuating or special circumstance is. And you can explain that to the admission officers or the financial aid officer. And then there are questions about that specific college. When you add a college, the college will ask you questions. Like Northwestern asks, which car do you use? Which year was that car purchased in? And is there a debt on that car? I use a Hyundai Creta, for example, which was purchased in 2019, and there is a 5 lakh debt on that car. I can add all of that information over here. That's a specific question that Northwestern asks. Second question they ask is, student reported some assets. There was a section about student asset, and student reported that asset. What, how much of that asset was provided by your parents? Typically, it's all of it in most cases, but sometimes when you earn your own income, sometimes when, let's say, you start your own business and you start earning income from that, then you will have your own separate assets. But typically, for many of you, this will be 100%. Okay. And then that's it. You are now ready to uh, submit your CSS profile. It will ask you to review it carefully. First thing I spoke about is currency. Make sure you fill the form in the same currency throughout. And then you'll say, yes, I agree, I understand, and all of that. And then here is something, they will ask you for proof of taxes and statement and bank statement. Be ready to submit that. There is a portal called iDoc. Many colleges will use that portal to ask you to submit your documents. Some colleges will ask you to email them. Whatever it is, you might be asked to email them your financial information. Okay, and that's it. At the end of it, you can uh, submit your CSS profile by paying a $25 fees. This CSS does not offer a fee waiver. Uh, you will have to request that college. If you are applying to Northwestern, you might request Northwestern, hey, I'm having a lot of trouble paying, making this payment. It's a financial burden on me. Can you please offer me a waiver? Highly likely they will say no, which means this $25 is to be borne by you. Hmm? And that's it. On the CSS profile page itself, and I'll pause here for a moment, just one section here. On the CSS profile itself, you will find the list of institutions which accept CSS profile. Uh, CSS, and you need to look at this section, CSS profile for international students. Okay? Yes, Chanda ma'am.
Yeah, the previous slide where you showed the total cost of CSS
Yes.
profile is $25. I just wanted to tell the children that it is 25 because he has just applied to one university, which is $16, right?
Yes,
As you
that's
will
right.
add on the colleges here on the list, the
Yes.
cost of CSS will keep increasing. Okay.
That's right. That's right. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Perfect. Okay. We'll get going now. Uh, oh, one second. I'll just reshare my slide. Sorry. Okay, and then that's it.
Devesh, there is another hand raised of Trisha Verma.
Hey, hi, Trisha. Please just switch on your camera and then unmute yourself, and then we'll answer your question. Yeah? Yeah, one second. I'll ask you to unmute yourself. Just, yeah, you can now unmute yourself. Yes, go ahead.
All right. Hi, sir. Thank you so much
Hi.
for the webinar. I had a couple of questions.
Yes, please go
If we're
ahead.
not, yeah, if we're not sure about the exact price of the house at the time of the purchase, or suppose scholarship received, there's no like exact number we have. Can a round figure work?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay to add a round figure. Uh, See, it plays in both ways. If you say, let's say your house was 50 lakh, but you say it's 5 lakhs, which
Hmm.
means you're underreporting it. And I'm not saying you, I mean, I'm just giving you a tip. I'm giving all the students a tip. Do not underreport and do not overreport. Right? The right ballpark figure. Ballpark is like in a range.
Yeah.
It's okay. It should not be dramatically off. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
So another question is that is scholarship included in student assets?
They asked you about a scholarship in a, if you received a school
Yeah.
scholarship from the school, they asked that. So you can add that. If you received cash scholarship, yes, you can
Hmm.
include that in your assets. But if it was in kind means some fee was waived, which means you did not get money in your account, then it's not an asset. Yeah. But if it comes from a school, if it came from the school, it goes into the scholarship received from the school section, which was asked. But if you received a cash scholarship, let's say from the government, from the Pradhan Mantri Yojana, from a Mukhyamantri Yojana kind of a thing, you can add that in the assets. Yeah.
Okay. So if I received any scholarship from Olympiads or competitions, then that comes under assets.
That comes under assets. That's right. Yeah. If you
All
have
right.
received
Okay.
50,000 rupees, 100,000 rupees, put that under student assets. Yeah.
All right. Thank
Great.
you so much, sir.
Super.
Devesh,
Very good questions.
even the prize money is an asset. It's as a
You
gift
can
if you've received.
you can add that under your assets, but some most of the times if a students, let's say, if like, make sure you're not double reporting it. Sometimes, let's say that money is in your parents accounts, and then you say, that you have already considered and you have already included in your parents assets, then do not include in your assets. Yeah, otherwise you are telling the colleges that you have twice that money, right? Which is not the case. Yeah. Akbar, you have a question? Yes. Go ahead. Go ahead. One second. Yes.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, so thank you for all that information. I just had one question.
Go
Uh,
ahead.
Considering the way Indian families are, suppose the parents are about to retire or are already retired, and we have an elder sibling who's mostly paying all the expenses. So in that case, how are we supposed to fill the specific informations? Because I saw most of the things were related to the mother or the father.
Yes. So that you explain in the in the special circumstances section. Yeah. That, while my parents are retiring in this year, so and so year, but right after that, my brother or my elder sister has already started working and they have these much assets and they will support my education. Yeah. And then you can add them as a sponsor. Yeah. They will, within this CSS profile, they will also have questions about sponsors or money expected from sponsors. They will act as your sponsors. Yeah, great, superb. Let me now very quickly take a couple of moments to take you through a scholarship program that I run, which is called as the Next Genius Scholarship Program. The Next Genius Scholarship Program is a program where we help students like you with scholarships to study abroad, study in the US. Yeah. Over the last 12 years, we have helped almost 300 students, 350 students win our scholarships. These students are now doing exceptionally well in their lives, and they are now working at places like KPMG, Google, Meta, Morningstar, or they are at universities like Yale, Columbia, NYU. Uh, this is the list of our scholars, and very quickly, let me check. City Montessori. We have a bunch of students from CMS who have won these scholarships in the past, and you can go to their pages and sort of look at what they are doing right now, because all these pages are linked to their LinkedIn profiles. So I here's what I would like you to do. I invite you all to apply for the Next Genius Scholarship Program. The registrations closed on November 14th, but we are doing this session now, and as a special sort of a privilege for our relationship with CMS and for working with for supporting your schools over the years, I would you can still apply for the next 2 days. The applications will still be open. Yeah. The registration process is fairly simple. You can apply on our website, which is next-genius.com. There is a small registration fees to be paid, 700 rupees, which you can pay using UPI. Yeah. And it's a life-changing opportunity. Students win full and almost full tuition scholarships uh, to study at some fantastic institutions like Syracuse, Northwestern in Qatar, IE, Spain, American University of Paris, Masters Union, Ithaca College, and many more. Yeah. Uh, this is like a final call, final chance for you to apply and win a Next Genius scholarship. And what else? I now have like 4 or 5 tips for you. So let me just once again go back to my presentation and give you 5 to 6 quick tips to um, that you should be aware of. Start early, start right away. If you are working on your CSS profile, start right away. Be very careful of submitting the correct figures and correct currency. See, the onus is on you. If you make a mistake, you are responsible for it. Don't think that, oh, I made a mistake. What to do now? You cannot edit your CSS profile. There is only one way you can edit your CSS profile. They allow you to edit in November, end of November. They'll open it up for some days and say, if you made some changes, if you made some error, we'll allow you to change some figures, but it does not mean that you can change it completely. Another thing is you cannot send different CSS profiles to different colleges. Sometimes you'll feel, oh, in this college, I'm ready to pay this much, but in this college, I'll only pay this much. That is not something you can do. The CSS profile is one and only one, and that goes to all the colleges. Do not report houses or properties that your parents do not own right now. If they're owned by your grandparents, then they are not owned by your parents, and that should not be reported as your properties. Do not underreport or over-report anything. Some universities will ask CSS profile every year, be ready for it. If there are some special cases like divorce or separated parents, you can ask your question separately, maybe even after the call. I'm happy to support that. I'm happy to do a one-on-one help for that kind of case. That said, that's the end of my presentation. It's 7:29 p.m. right now. We are right on time. I hope you found this helpful. Once again, thank you so much, Chanda ma'am. I really enjoy talking about financial aid and scholarships with the student, and I hope students found this session helpful.
Thank you very much, Divesh. I know we have just 1 minute to wind up the session. Thank you very much. I hope the children have got all their answers and doubts cleared by today's session. If not, I think the recording will be made available to them. And also, just in case if the recording is also not, solving their problems, we may tap your door again.
Absolutely.
And we'll seek your help and advice again. But I think this was very informative for me, for my counselor team, and for the children. And I think this is one area which holds the children back from applying to US universities because it's very expensive. And what Next Genius is doing, I think commendable, Devesh. You people have supported so many students to achieve their American dream. And the colleges that you've listed, if children you are interested in these colleges, do apply via Next Genius to avail 100% scholarship, or maybe I think to great amount of scholarships that they offer.
Yes.
Right? So you can connect with your school campus counselor. They'll direct you to Devesh to Next Genius portal, and they'll assist you in, filling up the application for that. And he's given you only 2 days to do that.
Yes.
That's Next Genius. But other than that, CSS profile, start right away.
Yes.
Don't miss out the deadlines. Don't miss out this opportunity. The early bird gets the grain. Remember that. Okay. So start as early as possible. We all are here to help you. And I thank each one of you for attending the session today. Thank you, Devesh.
Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone. Have a
If you
great
have any
evening.
questions, children, share it with your counselors. They'll connect with Devesh to get the answers.
Yes.
Right?
Thank you, everyone. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.